cares about what happens on the day, right? Well, now we move on from Pretoria to Johannesburg, and in particular to Startup Park, where Dutch conditioning and specialist coach Raymond Verheijen held a course on periodization.
Starrick Park was inundated with coaches from the football fraternity, where conditioning specialist coach Raymond Verheijen conducted his periodization course. SimSports International, in association with the World Football Academy SA, thought this would be the perfect venue as it has both football and academic facilities.
We're here for the launch of the World Football Academy, with the guest lecturer being Mr. Raymond Verheijen, who also happens to be the founder of the World Football Academy. Periodization is the study of planning your training sessions to keep your players at peak fitness, not only for the start of the season but throughout the season. And a key factor is, and what Raymond says, is that you want coaches to have their best players at all times, because it's not only beneficial to the team and the coach but also to the fans who wants to see their players and not being out for 3 to 4 months injured, etc.
Well, as a youth player, I played in Holland in the Dutch academy system. And as a teenager, I had the illusion that I would become a professional player until the age of 17, when I had to stop playing because of a chronic injury. So that already made me think that why do I get injured and why do I have to stop playing? Then at that stage, your dream is gone, and as a child that's terrible. But this disadvantage later became an advantage because it allowed me to go to coach education. So I had my coaching licenses at a very young age, and I also went to university where I studied physiology and sports psychology. And at some stage, based on my experience as a player, I started to think about football training in general and about balancing football training, and that's where it all started.
Conditioning, preparing the team, especially from pre-season, playing. You know, you look at the PSL. Our game is congestion. We play on Wednesday, we play on Saturday, and if you can't control the conditioning, then your team will definitely suffer. There are some of the teams in the PSL that they do well in the first period. Then in the second period they drop because of the boys there's a lot of fatigue. The boys are tired, and the only time to recover you need to have the next season, and you don't have the next season, you know. And I think with this course it teaches us how to prepare the team in conditioning and in controlling the energy level also.
He's very strong in terms of his opinions. He obviously has a very structured point of view on fitness and conditioning. So again, it was very important for me to kind of learn and to pull bits and pieces from what he has to teach, you know, and to offer. With basics, obviously just trying to give us an overview of his views and his interpretation of conditioning and fitness. We had a brief practical session yesterday. Today's been a little bit more in depth in terms of the training systems that we use as obviously as footballers, in terms of how to adapt those systems as well. So it's good. Looking forward to more to come and another day tomorrow.
I think the big thing is, you know, we're always under the impression that more is more from a conditioning perspective. If you train harder, you work harder, you're going to get fitter and stronger and so forth. And I think the idea is not to train harder, but is to train smarter. And I think that's probably the single biggest factor. And I think we also, the second big factor, I think we also have to get away from the idea that football, conditioning within football has to be at times without the ball. And I think the big element is that he believes in introducing the ball as often as one can possibly. I mean, 9 times out of 10 is a drill that needs to be done. It needs to be introduced with the football. You know, I think the big mistake most people make is, first and foremost, we believe football players are athletes, and so we must make them run. And I think what his first and foremost principle is that they're football players, so train them as football players. So that's the big thing, and I think, as I say, it's the quality of the work that we do rather than the quantity. And as I say again, especially in pre-season training, we always believe that, you know, double sessions, sometimes even triple sessions, are the way to go. And you know, he's clearly shown through his own knowledge, through research, that that's the old way of doing things.
Our objective at SimSport International is to bring international projects and trends into South Africa. In the Free State we do the Bolton Wanderers program with the Free State government, which is going into its second year very successfully. And there's always been a need for coach education with international standards. And we scouted around the world and we found that the World Football Academy to be the ideal choice for South African coaches now and in the future.
When periodization is the starter, the first thing you do is you plan exercises given a certain situation, number of players, etc. But at the end of the day, it's the execution that determines the outcome. Because you can plan whatever you want, but if the execution is very poor, then the training effect is also relatively low. So first of all, I want to show them that the execution is what it's really about and that periodization is only the ideal world. And today with the practical session was a perfect example, because I myself, as a demo, had prepared a session with 16 outfield players and 2 goalkeepers. And when we arrived on the pitch, the coach told me that there were 1 player down. So in a split second, I had to change my session, going from 16 players to 15. So instead of a problem, that was the best thing that could happen, because I could show the coaches that this is what football coaching is all about. You have to be flexible and you must be able to anticipate on whatever problem arises.
These are the people that will help our football, you know. For Bafana Bafana, we need a top-class guys to come and condition in Bafana Bafana, you know. Because physically our boys are not strong. And we can compete with the modern game. The modern game, you need to be fit. After losing the ball, you need to retain that ball in less than 5 seconds. And that needs coaches like Raymond. Huh?
So it's a combination of classroom lectures, and he's had 2 75-minute practical sessions, and we have to say thank you to Verheijen for allowing us to use the academy boys. So players, the coaches at least were able to see all the theory exercises that he was discussing in a practical environment, which they enjoyed. The future is that eventually we will be able to develop practitioners within South Africa to further spread the message that the experts are doing over the next few years, making the courses more cost effective so that we can extend the reach of courses to coaches all over the country.
All the coaches found the course extremely insightful, and we can only wait and see how this newfound knowledge will translate on the football pitch.
So many coaches attended from the PSL, the NFD, and even the Vodacom teams. So it'll be interesting to see how our football progresses over the years. And hopefully the coach can be back for another session in the not too distant future. Well, it's time for a short commercial break, so I'm going to enjoy